Hey everybody, I hope y'all are having a great week so far. Welcome to the latest video in our weekly series on the American yacht. Just kind of giving y'all some tips on how to make your way through it. So I know we've already kind of gone over how to summarize, how to look for like the main points of something, tips on how to stay focused. And I think that all kind of ties into what I want to touch on today, which is kind of how to tie what you're reading to kind of like what you already know or something that you're reading currently in like another class or on your leisure time. And so for us to know kind of what we want to connect to prior knowledge, we have to know what it is that we are connecting to prior knowledge. And that just involves kind of finding out the main points of a section or chapter. To do that, just like always, we start at the intro. Knew it's about the Great Depression already, right? Because that's very clear by now, so that doesn't really do much. These lyrics aren't extremely useful. Roaring 20s, that's not really what it's about, though. So the intro doesn't have much. So when that happens, that's okay, because we still have the conclusion, right? And the conclusion usually going to re-summarize the chapter, and that's where you'll find a lot of the good points if the intro is empty. Right away, Roosevelt. Presidents are going to be important, obviously, but also because any act that is any important law that is passed under their administration, they're going to get credit for. In this case, that's the New Deal. New Deal and the Great Depression, if you don't know anything about it, that's okay, because look how often it is repeated. And so we know that the New Deal is pretty important. And this repetition is very important, especially with history textbooks, when we're trying to figure out what is important, what we want to tie to our prior knowledge, because I'm trying to find something specific. Because history textbooks are full of a ton of examples, tons, like this one, for instance. While this gives us a great insight into how drastic the Great Depression was, the crash was, I don't think there's a good chance this is not going to be repeated in the entire chapter, right? And so you can take note of it as kind of a way to gauge how bad the Depression was, but I don't think General Motors stock prices are going to be a main focus in the chapter over the Great Depression, right? So you really want to focus on things like we went over down there, like the New Deal, things like President Roosevelt, maybe also President Hoover, because this was the president that was in charge during the Roaring 20s, kind of like during the run-up to the Great Depression. That was Hoover. And so once you find your main points, it's always good to kind of like, before you even start writing, to write down what you already know, what you expect to hear kind of about this topic from this chapter. That way when you find those great points, you can try to, the dots don't necessarily connect themselves, but it's certainly easier to do so. And it's also good to use these multimodalities. We always talk about that, but like, what do you notice in here? Clearly this is a working class family. Before we even read this, we know it's a working class family. We know we get a great sense of sadness from the boys turning away, of uncertainty. And so these are all things to pay attention to when we are trying to get like a deeper understanding of a topic, right? The main points, how these main points connect to something we've already read or something we are currently reading, as well as how these multimodalities give us like a better idea of the situation at the time. And so when y'all are kind of making your way through American Yawp, I guess this week, especially because y'all have been working with multiple chapters at a time, I know these two are y'all's this week, so maybe look at how the Great Depression maybe like played into the buildup of America entering World War II. All right, and thank y'all very much, and happy reading. Have a good week, guys.